Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Yankees lose Game 2 to the Kansas City Royals by a score of 4-2 to tie the series up at 1. We now have a best-of-3 series heading back to Kansas City. And for this episode, we have producer Casey joining us.
How we doing, man? It's our annual Yankee playoff recap. So glad to be back.
Yep, we last time we had John was probably the Astros ALCS in 2022.
Yeah, there we go. Another fond memory.
Yeah, it seems like when we have you, it's usually
painful
losses.
Yeah,
but,
it's usually painful, but it's misery loves company. So happy to be here.
It certainly does, and happy to have you as well. Yeah, I mean, if you've watched this Yankee team this year, which I know you have, this isn't really that much of a surprise. And my original prediction for the series was Yankees in 5. And I said it after Game 1, like nothing I saw then is changing my mind. And nothing I'm seeing here is really either. Offense really was held down. They had some opportunities early, weren't able to cash in. And then Carlos Rodón, who had a really strong first 3 innings, kind of let it unravel a little bit in the 4th inning. And my concern with Rodón in the past kind of reared its ugly head again. It's not as if he got like shellacked or anything. Like I like the no walk 7 strikeouts, but he gives up a home run to Salvador Perez. And then Kansas City kind of does what they do when they, get some singles. They take extra bases when it was necessary. There was a wild pitch, a stolen base, and then a play where Jazz Chisholm Jr. didn't cut the ball off. And so they took advantage of that. And then from there, even though the Yankees actually did they worked the pitch count against Cole Reagans. This Yankee team, they can draw walks. They can give you hard at-bats, but ultimately not producing, not getting the big hit when they needed it.
Exactly. I mean, I just feel like it's kind of like our biggest, nightmare, or the thing that, when we were looking ahead at this season and just hoping that things would change, the things that we were hoping for is that, the Yankees would come up with that clutch hit and drive in those runs, and that the pitching could keep us in the game. And like you said, Rodón, certainly looked very good in the beginning, but unfortunately Rodon's thing is that once he kind of gets hit once, it just seems like he's such a head case that, then it just starts to unravel. And then once that happened, it just, that was it. And, I guess good on Boone for pulling him when he did, because the relief showed up. But again, we had opportunities to score some runs here, even in the 9th inning. I'm sure we'll talk about. And again, just kind of coming up short. And, a lot of these players that have been on this team now for quite some time are kind of just, it's the same old postseason woes and stuff like that. So, just a disheartening loss. I mean, I'm happy that we got Game 1. Just to touch on that quick, just because I wasn't here, happy we squeaked that one out. But, I was just hoping that maybe we could, build off that momentum, so to speak, at Yankee Stadium, and certainly not the case tonight. So,
yeah, definitely not. Well said. And look, I mean, in the 4 division series, each of them were tied at 1. So it would have been nice to be the one team up 2-0. But look, you're dealing with a desperate Kansas City team. And this isn't me. I'm not trying to defend the Yanks, but the fact of the matter is that there is another team going against them. And the Royals, look, they do have really good pitching. And I think it always comes down to, can the Yankee lineup produce, when you think about teams of the past? Because, look, a lot of the team that we see now, it's some of the same players that we've seen before. Now, obviously, you have Juan Soto in there, and he was quiet tonight. But obviously, you expect that to help the cause quite a bit. And some other players as well. But still, and I guess, let's kind of go through each player quickly, kind of sticking with the same format that we do here at New York's #2 sports show. Just going through the lineup. And I guess as well, what I'll mention, John Birdie gets the start at first. So in some ways, we'll go back to the top, but John Birdie starts at first base. It actually, I do feel a little bit bad for Oswaldo, even though, look, good chance that he'll be back in there versus, we'll preview Game 3 at the end. Mm-hmm. But Seth Lugo starting Game 3, right-handed starter, it'll be Oswaldo in all likelihood. But John Birdie, who had never started at first base, known as a utility player, a good fielder really everywhere he's been. Actually, really acquitted himself very well defensively, and even did put up some pretty good at bats as well. Kind of, and we'll touch on, we'll go through kind of a little bit of the play-by-play, but Birdie got a little bit screwed on a 3-1 pitch in the second inning that was inside. Literally, the pitch before was in the same place. If anything, this one was a little bit more inside.
Absolutely.
Would have been ball 4, and they call it, and then eventually he strikes out. So I thought that his at-bat quality was actually not that bad, but just wanted to make mention of the fact that was the one main lineup switch.
Yeah.
But yeah, going to the top, Glaber, who's really been good lately. I thought, he gets a couple of walks. His at-bats, especially in the first inning, he's really taking to that leadoff spot. I think out of every at-bat he has, that first one especially seems to be pretty productive. And so for him, I feel pretty good about what he's done. I mean, in the ninth inning, I think he was a little bit aggressive against Ursig with Soto on deck. He swung at an inside pitch, but again, I'm not going to nitpick there. And as we move through, and we'll talk a little bit more on Judge. Soto, like I said before, didn't really have the biggest night. Coming off of a 3-hit game in Game 1, I still have the utmost confidence in Soto. Aaron Judge. Now you look at the stat line tonight, 1 for 3 with a walk. So look, it's not as if it was a total disaster, but first inning, first and second no out, you have Rodón strike out the side in the first, and then Glaber walks and Soto walks, and then Aaron Judge strikes out. And they had a stat with a minimum of 200 plate appearances in postseason history. Judge, at that point, it was about a 34% K rate. Fairly or unfairly, I want to see more from Aaron Judge. And in recent postseasons, it's been a bit of a struggle for Judge in terms of, again, a lot of strikeouts and just not a lot of overall production in the means of, even home run ability. Yeah, he'll draw his walks. He's an absolute threat. Could he turn it around in a blink of an eye? Definitely. But we need more from Aaron Judge. We just do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely, it's definitely concerning. It's the pitches that he was swinging at some at bats. It's just very uncharacteristic of him. And, you would think, he's in Yankee Stadium, he's at home with the crowd that's supportive of him. You would just think that, he would be performing a little bit better than this, that the lights wouldn't be getting to him so much. But I mean, I guess it must be in the back of his head to some degree of his struggles in the postseason. But yeah, just some very very uncharacteristic at bats, swinging at pitches that just completely missing them and just kind of, I don't know, just a little aloof at the plate. I mean, he was 1 for 3 and just, I mean, I know we'll kind of talk about play by play, but even his single was, an infield single, not really a hit that you would think of Aaron Judge. You know what I mean? When you think of a base hit by him, it was just kind of a lucky hit, so to speak. I was hoping that maybe that would build some kind of momentum for him, but unfortunately not. But yeah, I mean, I'm just it's just getting concerning. I mean, and I guess luckily, I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. also on the Kansas City side, just the two MVP people here in this series haven't really shown up, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, just to get back to Judge, just really unfortunate. I don't know. I'm hoping that he could pull it together. Maybe somehow being on the road maybe will inspire him.
Yeah, great point about Bobby Witt Jr. That's the thing too. The Yankees have really shut him down completely, which is a little bit depends how you look at it. I mean, again, like you said, they feel about Judge. Witt doesn't have a hit this series, and had 3 strikeouts tonight. So the Yankees do a good job of holding him down. I don't know how long you can do that for. I guess I think a lot, in terms of Judge and just overall, this series has me thinking back to 2022 ALDS versus Cleveland. And that was a Game 1 win at home, followed by a Game 2 loss on the road. Judge then did homer in Game 3 against Cleveland. It didn't really catapult him to anything of real significance that postseason, but I do remember he did have a dead center field home run then. So maybe that trend continues
Yeah,
for
fingers
him.
crossed.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of similar, again, kind of just a lot of weird similarities. I mean, again, it was only 2 seasons ago, so it makes sense. But like in that one where you had Cole go game 1, you're probably going to have him go game 4 as he did then. Just the difference is, hopefully the Yankees are up 2-1 and not down 2-1. But yeah, again, we'll get into that after we're done covering this game.
Yeah.
Austin Wells. Look, I'm a fan of Wells. He did, to be fair, like he struck out in that first inning. Look, this first inning was pretty reminiscent to the first inning of game 1. The difference was that was second and third no out. This was first and second no out. So, but Wells did have a single to kind of keep the line moving for when they did score in the third. Giancarlo Stanton, like the biggest thing with him, as we know, it's his, he just simply cannot run. And because look, he is a threat at the plate. He does have postseason prowess. Like he did have the 1 RBI hit. Granted, maybe it's a play that Bobby Witt could have made, but it was hit hard. So Stanton, it's not so much a concern for what he can do at the dish, but like it always seems to. And I feel like I kind of downplayed it because they won last game, but yeah, like Stanton's. With me being at the game, it might have changed in game 1. It might have changed my perspective. Like in looking at the replay, it's like on the what was it? On who got the hit? Cabrera. On the Cabrera, what was a double? Stanton, like anyone else scores from first, and Stanton just gets to third. And I'm thinking like, oh wow, I'm kind of surprised he even got there. So that's the Giancarlo thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's just like, you know that all of his, Boone and all of them are basically telling him that, like, not to run as hard as he can because he is so injury prone and, like, his hamstring's going to explode. And it's like, it's just like, it's unbelievable how slow he is. You know what I mean? Like, like he's just literally this like I mean, I know he doesn't take roids or who the fuck knows, but just this big muscled man that like he swings and he's just like running down the bases. Like it's a very awkward running stance. And I don't know. I mean, this we could get into all this Stanton in terms of just being a Yankee at some other point, but it's you wish that he could maybe run out a ground ball to get safe at first at some point. But hey, you know what? He got the single, like, and it was a ball that was hit hard. So I guess we'll give him credit where credit's due. But yeah, it's pretty rough to watch him try and navigate the base path.
Yeah, I mean, like on the list of things that I'm concerned about, it's not like high on there. Right. But the fact of the matter is that like it just seems to be more noticeable in the postseason where there's been these plays where it's like, okay, fuck, he scalds that like
yep.
If he hits the ball on the ground, he's gonna be out. So we had that double play ball. I guess it was the 8th inning where Whit makes a nice play. It was hit hard, but 6-4-3, like he's out, and just about anyone else.
And he's out by like a mile too. It's not even something that's replayable or anything. It's pretty wild.
I'm wondering if they're facing elimination at some point, it's like, fuck it, like let me just go for broke. Like I got the offseason, like whatever. Like right, like if it was like, let's just say the Yankees are fortunate enough to get to the World Series, I'm thinking to myself like, all right, at that point you got nothing to lose. I mean, at that point, like this,
you would be a hero forever in New York. You know what I mean? We would love you forever for beating it out and tearing your hamstring. It'd be it'd be a memory for the ages. But anyway, I don't know. He's doing his thing. Yeah, I mean, kudos to him for getting the one hit today, the RBI. So
more than we can say for most.
More than we could say for most, for sure. Yeah.
Jazz Chisholm Jr., homers in the 9th. 1 for 4 in both games, and I think in both cases got hits in his last at bat. So ends up, look, I think Jazz is one of the hitters in this lineup that you feel kind of good about. I'll say that, with some of his at bats, I think at times he's a little too aggressive, but I guess that's just part of the deal.
Yeah.
And at third base, you can tell the ability. Like the athletic ability, like for someone who just started playing the position, been really good. That all said, like there is little things, I kind of brought up before, him not cutting the ball off. There are learning experiences that I think he's going to have. But all that said, I mean, I think Jazz has been, fine. Anthony Volpe, who I have been pretty down on just in general. give him credit. Like
Yeah.
tonight, he wasn't like an issue. Thought his some pretty good at bats, gets a hit, gets a walk, kind of hits the ball hard in that ninth inning. So for Volpe, because I think there would have been a world where he would have been pinch hit for by, let's say, a Dominguez or a Rice, like with a tough right-handed pitcher. I think that we could see him be pinch hit for, but at the same time, I know this Yankee organization, like they want Volpe. They don't want that to happen.
Right.
But we've seen that they've been willing to do it at the end of the season. And then Alex Verdugo, he does get a hit. And, we know that he's a good contact hitter. The one thing for me, and look, if maybe I'm nitpicking, but in the ninth inning, there was a 2-0 count to Verdugo. And for me right there, like, I think you got to be patient. You're down by 2 runs at that point. There's 1 out. And if you get on, the tying run is up. And unfortunately, he swings at an outside that would have clearly been ball 3, and he grounds out. So that was a little bit annoying. But, again, Verdugo was kind of the hero in game 1. So,
yeah,
that's kind of the lineup recap. Like I said, is Waldo very likely to fill in for Birdie. And, for Birdie, definitely did a really nice job over at first base. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, as far as just going through the starting pitchers on both sides, Carlos Rodon, 3 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. It started out well. And then the 4th inning, it got away from him. And then for the Royals, Cole Reagans, he only goes 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 4 walks, and 5 strikeouts. So, as much as Reagans, it wasn't pretty for him, he did limit the damage to the point where he only gave up 1 run. And then the bullpens on both sides really did a nice job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just frustrating because you felt like Reagan's was, like we were talking about in the first inning, he walks the first 2 batters. Like there was just so many times where we really could have just really just thrown that gut punch or something like that and busted this thing open. And same thing in the second inning, I believe he walked the first batter as well. So it's just, it's frustrating that there was times where he was susceptible and we just couldn't once again capitalize. And the same old worries of the Yankees.
Definitely. And we know that, again, Yankees are not great versus left-handed, specifically starting pitching. I'd just say in general, but that record gets, whether it's, because I don't think it's coincidence, but in some ways it can be, right? Because the Yankees offense, like I don't know, like I guess if the Yankees got a great pitching performance out of Rodon, then maybe they win the game. But, to me, it still falls more on the offense, and they just don't really perform well against lefties. And so you knew that Reagan's was going to be a tough matchup, but if you told me that he was only going to go 4 innings, I would have absolutely taken that.
Yeah.
Rodon gets off to a great start. He strikes out the side, pretty electric first inning, to be honest, and he was feeling good. And, for him, it's not really a lack of it's not a lack of confidence for Carlos Rodon. He's got good stuff, got that really good fastball. And we'll talk about in the 4th inning, he kind of goes away from the fastball, kind of goes more to the slider, and it kind of hurt him. But we'll get there soon. The 1st inning, like we said before, Glaber walks, Soto walks, and then Judge strikes out. And that was a big moment, right? If Judge, forgetting about him hitting a 3rd homer, if he draws a walk or even better gets a single or something, you're talking about a completely different situation. And hey, maybe if you go up 2-0, 3-0, just maybe the whole complexion of the game is different, because then Austin Wells strikes out looking, and then Giancarlo Stanton grounds out. So again, that 1st inning really hurt.
Yeah, huge buzzkill. And from what I recall, I believe that first at bat by Judge was 3 swings. I think that was it. I think it was 3 pitches. I think it was just again, then he was swinging over the ball. He didn't he was doing things that I recall when he was like a rookie doing, like chasing pitches. It just, I don't know what it is. It really is unfortunate because, like you said, it was the platter was presented to him. And it couldn't have been a better moment for him to just get this postseason crutch off his back. And, like you said, just make contact. You don't have to swing for the fences. Get a single, get a, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's just really concerning. I mean, as I'm sure we'll talk about later, just the heart of this lineup really needs to step it up big time.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, so it was a ball to start, and then three
That's
swings
what
and
it was.
misses. Right?
Yeah.
Not even any fouls within that.
Right.
Just
Right.
three swinging strikes.
Yep. Yep.
And you couldn't have asked for a better start. Right here it is. You win game one. You're at home. Rodon strikes out the side, and then Torres and Soto
Yeah.
both get on base. So
No
literally
outs.
to that point, it was just about as. I mean, obviously, if they were up 2-0, that'd be truly the perfect start. But
Right.
it was really about as good as a start as you could have asked for. And you have Judge, who, whether it's fair or not, again, like it is a conversation piece, and he was the one that, hey, let's out of all people, let's have him be the one to kind of get us out on top in the first inning. And that does not happen. And kind of this strikeout narrative in the postseason does continue.
Yeah.
So that was tough. But Rodon, he continues to do the job, throws up a scoreless second inning. Then at the bottom of the second, just real quick, was where you have a 1-out single by Volpe. Then he does steal second during the John Birdie at bat. And like I said before, and look, the umping, it goes both ways. Because to be fair, there were definitely calls that went the Yankees' advantage as far as the balls and strikes were concerned. So this in no way is like, oh, the Yankees got screwed. But in this one at bat, it was noticeable that John Birdie, unfortunately, 3-1 pitch that was well inside, ends up being called a strike, and then he strikes out swinging. So that was a little unfortunate. But in the third, Rodon is able to get out of a little bit of a jam. There was a little, gives up a couple of hits, but then ultimately he gets Witt to ground out, and then Pasquantino does line out to Soto. So at that point, you do notice that, like, okay, second time through the order, they're seeing him a little bit better, but yet no harm, no foul. And at the bottom of the third, where the Yankees do score a run, it's a Gleyber walk, Soto strikeout, Judge fly out, and Bob Costas, and that was the one where Bob Costas got kind of excited there. He got under it. I mean, I understand with the short porch, I think Volpe, some guys in the dugout got a little bit excited. I never really felt like it was out, but I think maybe when Judge is right, because there honestly were some pitches. There was one, maybe even in that at bat, that he fouled off that normally, it would have been ticketed to right center field, but didn't happen. And then Wells singles to make it first and second, 2 out, and then Giancarlo Stanton gets an RBI single off the glove of Bobby Witt. Gleyber Torres just kind of, being aggressive, and it works out, luckily. So Gleyber in a lot of those cases would be thrown out, but the aggressiveness works, and the Yankees take a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, that was, you felt pretty good there, like you were saying. We had the missed opportunities, but the fact that we actually got the first run scored in the game, you're like, okay, maybe we could build off of this. Stanton, that was a rocket hit to Bobby Witt, so almost took his hand off. But yeah, that was good to see, and like you said, it was nice to see Gleyber challenge Bobby Witt at the plate. Bobby Witt made a better throw, he probably would have been out, but like you said, he's got to make that throw, and he didn't. So that was great.
Yep, he takes advantage of that. And then Jazz unfortunately grounds out. That's right. There's another spot where, maybe you score more. And I think that Jazz at bat was actually in the third inning, was the last one the Yankees have with runners in scoring position. So they finished 1 for 6. So the numbers included in both games with runners in scoring position are 3 for 19, which just, it's not good. And I feel like we've seen this in years past as well in the postseason. But so, yeah, that kind of ends. I mean, look, we'll talk about, there were other innings where there were things going on a little bit, but really those were the opportunities where instead of being up 1-0, you would have wanted it to be more. And then the fourth inning comes, and this is the 1 4-run inning. And I think that's been a thing I've noticed in the postseason is it's this one inning that, these teams have, and there's really just nothing else going on the rest of the game. In other words, it's not like, okay, it's 1 run in the second, 2 runs in the third, 3 runs in the fourth. A lot of the teams, it's just that one inning where in this case, Kansas City gets 4 runs. And the frustrating thing is I really wanted that shutdown inning. I know Rodon went 3 scoreless, but hey, you just scored a run. Let's put up a 0. That's so important in terms of momentum and last game on both sides of the ledger, Kansas City and the Yankees. And, speaking, I guess, from the Yankees standpoint, whenever the Yankees would score, early on in that game, Kansas City would respond right back. And that happens here and more so. So Salvador Perez homers. And look, Sal Perez, He's been around for a long time. He's the one remaining member from that 2015 Royal World Series club.
Yep.
He's dangerous. And that was a huge home run for Kansas City to tie it up. And they had that fucking cam, which was just A, annoying, and B, bad luck. So yeah, lucky I didn't have to like deal with, I mean, you know, I don't know, whatever. I don't have major complaints with what TBS was providing, but yeah, that was a little annoying.
That was a little annoying. I mean, it was just like, you know, the cam, and it's like, you know, it's shaking, and it's like, you know, it's not even you can't really like see what's going on. It's not a clear view of like what's happening. So yeah, I agree.
No.
It was kind of, you know, like I see where they were going with it, but the execution wasn't quite there. So.
Right. And look, to be fair, like I think it's more the result, right? Because I think there was another one where Volpe like just like swung and missed on the cam.
Right.
So, but you know, when Sal hit it, it's like, fuck, like this is going a long way. And sure enough, it goes out to tie it up at 1. And then from there, Yuli Gurriel singles. And it's like, look, not that Yuli had a big night tonight, but it's like, can you just like retire already, please? Like,
Yankee
you know,
killer,
he's 40 years old. Like
yeah.
he's one of the underrated killers. Like this was a 2017 Astro who remained an Astro, I think, up until he was part of the 2022 team.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, you know, there's a little bit of that, you know, we can't fully escape the Astro thing.
No.
And Yuli Gurriel, like who, you know, whatever. So he gets that single there. And then there's a wild pitch by Carlos Rodon. That does kind of prove costly because Michael Massey strikes out and then Tommy Pham singles to make it 2-1. So Tommy Pham, another veteran that Kansas City picked up late in the season, like Gurriel, makes it 2-1, and then he steals second. Hunter Renfroe strikes out. So it's 2-1 Kansas City. Not great, but manageable. 2 out, and Garrett Hampson, who had a big 2-run single in game 1, gets an RBI single in game 2. Garrett Hampson's been kind of a thorn in the Yankee side. You think about like this series so far, it's not the Bobby Witt Juniors, it's not the Vinny Pasquantinos that are hurting them. It's the punch and Judy hitters, if you will, the singles hitters. Garrett Hampson and Maikel Garcia puts up 4 hits. So Garrett Hampson with the RBI single. Jazz Chisholm does not cut the ball off, leading Hampson to going to second. It's a 3-run game. They take out Rodon. As you said, Casey, like, you know, I think getting Rodon out of there was the right thing to do. Ian Hamilton comes in. I guess the one blip on the reliever radar, if you will, tonight was the fact that Hamilton, unfortunately, first pitch wasn't a bad pitch, but Maikel Garcia inside out to right field. It's an RBI single, and then they get him out as Birdie cuts the ball off, and Garcia gets in a rundown. But 4-1 Kansas City. They just couldn't stop the bleeding, and that really hurt.
Yeah, it really did. And like you said, there's just, you know, a couple plays that just really kind of added to everything, like the stolen base to getting the guy to second base and, you know, Chisholm failing to cut off the ball. Just like little things like that, you know, they add up in the postseason. You can't be doing stuff like that, especially with a pitcher like Rodon that tends to be kind of volatile when things don't quite go perfectly for him. So.
Yeah. Well, again, like once we kind of do a little bit of like a preview of the rest of the series, like, I don't know, him pitching a potential game 5, it does concern me. Like, I don't know, the hook. I mean, the leash should be really, really, really short for that outing, if there is a game 5, of course. And then from there, you know, Cole Reagans, you know, has some struggles in the you know, he walks Volpe to lead up the 4th, and that Kansas City gets that shutdown inning. Like, at least the Yankees could have chipped away a little bit, got a run in the 4th, you know, or 2. Then you're looking at a whole different situation. But unfortunately, even though there were some balls hit hard, Reagans gets out of that 4th inning. Then in the 5th, Hamilton strikes out the side, Witt, Pasquantino, and Sal Perez. So kind of going through the heart of the order there. Then at the bottom of the 5th, they take Reagans out. Angel Serpa, the lefty, comes in, who struggled a lot in game 1, but in game 2, he gets Soto to strike out, Judge walks, and then Wells grounds into a double play. In the 6th inning, Jake Cousins comes on, and good to see Cousins back after he was briefly injured with that right pectoral strain. And in this one, there was a throwing error by Jazz Chisholm Jr., a walk to Michael Massey. Then after a flyout, it's 1st and 3rd, 1 out. MJ Melendez, the lefty, comes in, for, and then the Yankees counter that with the southpaw Tim Hill. And Melendez hits it hard, but a beautiful play by John Birdie to get the unassisted double play at first. Really nice, kind of an exciting moment that was hoping that maybe that could spur them on a little bit. It doesn't happen. John Schreiber, the righty, comes in the sixth, puts the Yankees down 1-2-3. In the seventh, it's our pal Clay Holmes that comes on, and for Holmes, luckily for him, there was a caught stealing. Kyle Isbell is caught stealing, so that kind of quelled what maybe could have been a bit of a rally, but a couple of strikeouts for Clay keeps the score at 4-1. Chris Bubich, the lefty, comes on for the Royals in the seventh. You get a leadoff single by Verdugo, but then Birdie lines out, hit the ball well, but Pham caught it, and then Glaber strikes out and Soto flies out. Tommy Kahnle pitches the eighth, pitches a scoreless eighth. Then in the bottom half of the inning, Judge with the infield single, as discussed previously. Wells strikes out looking, and then Giancarlo Stanton hit it hard, but it's a double play for him. So Bubich actually goes 2 innings for Kansas City. And then in the top of the ninth, Tim Meza gets a couple of outs, but he gives up a single with 2 outs. And then they bring on Luke Weaver for 1 out. Like, they use the whole pen. And, I don't think it's going to be much, but I would have liked to have, all things being equal, I would have liked to have just stayed away from Weaver, because I think he's going to be a really important, much-needed piece in the rest of this series. And then, just since we're at the end here, bottom of the ninth, Lucas Erceg comes on, the closer. And I guess the one promising thing is that the Yankees, Erceg I thought looked really good in Game 1. Game 2, not as much. Jazz Chisholm Jr. with a high-towering homer to right field to cut it to 4-2. And then Anthony Volpe grounds out. Verdugo grounds out. Like I said, a little bit frustrating that he swung at a 2-0 pitch outside.
Yep.
John Birdie singles to get the tying run up. And I wanted to get Soto up there somehow, but Glaber, first pitch, a little inside, he grounds out to short. And that's your ball game. Final score of Kansas City 4, Yankees 2.
Yeah, and then I guess let's just get right into it. Just the heart of this order is just continuously not delivering for us, and we kind of got Game 1, I really do feel like we got lucky with a lot of things. We really, there was that, I'm forgetting the exact inning it was now, but when we were able to get 2 runs in from walks from the reliever Zerga, right? And so it's like a bunch of the runs that we got from the Game 1 were from walks, and then obviously there was the controversial call at second base with Chisholm. That was the run that actually ended up winning the game for us. So in a lot of ways, we kind of squeaked that one out. In a way, you could almost argue like that we didn't even really deserve to win that game in a way, or not deserve to win, but it really should have been probably tied going towards the end of the game. And I just, again, I was hoping that maybe just the fact that we won at the stadium, we would have some kind of mojo, and it's just it's the same. I guess it's just a lack of urgency that I feel. I just don't know if, it just doesn't seem like everyone is taking it as seriously as it needs to. And maybe that's a weird way to explain it, but just as a diehard fan that is just we've been watching this team and seeing the times when they're clicking and they're scoring runs, how, it comes pretty easy to them. And I don't know. I guess obviously quality pitching in the postseason will, definitely make that harder, but I don't know. It just seems like a mentality where it's we'll just, we'll get them next time. Just with Judge and the way that he's been striking out and stuff like that. It just I don't know. It's just bothering me a little bit how things just seem a little too lax. I just feel like so much is riding on this season. Boone, the whole structure of this whole organization, I feel like is riding on this year. And, I'm not trying to get, I think I'm already getting dramatic about it, but it was just very again, just the same stuff, with them. It just disappoints me. So I could keep going, but
me too. It does. It feels like it's, again, we've seen this before, and I guess keeping it, whether you want to keep it within the context of 2024 or beyond, or before that. Look, this Yankee team really was not that good at Yankee Stadium this year. They're a much better road team. As much as I do because I know when that crowd gets going, it really can push them through. And I like, I like having less, having that bottom half of the inning is always a little bit comforting. The Yankees really were a much better road team. I do.
Yeah,
I
that is a
understand
really
what
good point, though, that you brought that up. That's something that I feel like I kind of wasn't even realizing at the time. You know what I mean? How that is
and
true
and
this year.
look, I'm sure Kansas City, they're going to be ready to go. I mean, they
Yeah.
haven't, seen playoff baseball at Kauffman Stadium since 2015, so
Right.
they'll be raring to go for sure. But I think that I get why it feels that way, right? Especially when the offense is kind of like in a malaise and they don't do much. It feels as if there is this lack of urgency. But I do agree there isn't. You do wish that there was more of a killer instinct. And baseball is a tough sport to kind of like judge that, right? When it's not like an energy effort, physical sport. But
Right.
I'm with you. I mean, look, like, hey, you're up 1-0. I understand that with Kansas City, look, in a best of 5 series, like going down 2-0, like Kansas City really,
Right.
look, who needed this more tonight? The Royals did. Like, there's no doubt about that. But yeah, like it would have been nice for them to go up 2-0. I mean, but
Yeah.
they don't do that. And it's going to make the road a hell of a lot tougher.
Yeah, and I mean, especially our starting pitching. I mean, you think about Cole in game 1 and then Rodon, tonight, it's just, our starting pitching is giving up runs. And, if our heart of the order is not delivering, then it's like basically game over from there. And kudos to our relief, tonight, keeping us in this game. You know what I mean? It was like you said, it was just that one inning from Rodon and then Hamilton at the end of it. That bit us in the ass. But if that happens in game 3, if we go down early in game 3 because of our starter, I mean, I'm gonna be pretty worried. It's not, does not make me feel good. So
that's a good point. I mean, just in terms of like the starting pitch in the first 2 games, not giving you what you really would want realistically, and as well, just in terms of, again, it's a 2-game sample.
Right.
I get that, but also another theme is like, hey, like, where are your stars? Where are your highest paid players? I mean, because the fact of the matter is, Carlos Rodon is by far one of the highest paid players on this club. So I'm not saying it's everyone, but it's like, you need the big boys to kind of to show up, right? This isn't because you are getting random contributions, from places that maybe you didn't expect it, right? Whether that be some pieces in the bullpen, whether that be like an Alex Verdugo or things like that. Like, it's not as if it's like, oh God, well, it's the Judge and Soto show and no one's doing anything else. That's not what it is at all. So, and on the flip side, Kansas City is probably feeling somewhat similarly with their top guys too.
Yeah. Good point.
So look, like this is going to be a pretty even series. Yeah. Because as much as I think the Yankees I think that they have a definite chance, as good as ever, to reach the World Series. If we keep within the American League confines.
100%. Yeah.
They definitely do. But are they that much better than the rest of the teams? They're not. They're really not. No. Like, and that's why I think like it's going to be close to the finish line. I think any series they're in is going to be challenging, and when you're facing top flight pitching, and I think Kansas City, they have really, really solid pitching.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough for this Yankee lineup to break through, but there's no excuses. They have to. Yeah. And, I'm looking at Judge specifically, to be the one to kind of lead that charge.
Yeah.
And then from there, you hope it's a trickle down effect.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, looking ahead to game 3, I mean, what do you think is the plan here?
Yeah. So game 3. So let's talk about that. Yeah. Clark Schmidt is going to start game 3 over Luis Gil. I like that decision. Not that I would have had that much of a problem with it being Gil. Like I'm a fan of both of them, but I do like going with Clark, who's a little more seasoned.
Yep.
Now I understand that when Gil is on, like he is really virtually untouchable. Well, with Schmidt, there's this feeling that, like with Gil, it's like I worry about the walks.
Yeah.
And the command just getting away from him completely. So I am in favor of the Schmidt move, and it's nothing against Luis Gil. And here's the other thing too, a conversation for another day, but I think, not having Nestor Cortez in this series, I think, may loom somewhat large. I think he would have been somewhere, whether that be in the rotation or the pen. I think he would have been helpful. But so yeah, Schmidt versus Seth Lugo. And look, Seth Lugo, former Met, was with the Padres last season, and this year was an all-star, like really pitched very well against the Yankees recently in September. They got to him a little bit in Kansas City back in June. so they've seen Lugo, but like, hey, on paper, this is another tough matchup. And I think that this would be the tough between game 3 and 4. If we're to assume that it's going to be Cole versus, let's say, Waka again, or if it's not Waka, Brady Singer. I know Cole struggled, and if we did a game 1 recap, that'd be a bigger conversation. But I think game 3 on paper would appear to be a little bit tougher than what game 4 would be. Yeah. So if the Yankees can somehow win game 3, put you in that driver's seat, because here's the thing, I want to win this in 4 if I can. Now, if you told me this is game 5, fine, right? Yankee Stadium, like I'll take my chances there. But like the way, like I said, with the Rodón Reagans rematch, I still don't love that. So
me either.
Taking game 3 and then hoping that Cole can close it out, redemption for kind of what was a really bad game 1. That's got to win this game 3 here,
100%.
And not did against Cleveland in 2022, you lost game 3,
right?
And it just made, to me, it made the Astros series even tougher than it needed to be, because there was, if you remember, I mean, that was different, but there was rainouts. And so like you ended up going literally the last game of the DS. The next day was the first day of the CS. And it just kind of, it threw things off. Just take a game at a time, but would really, hoping Clark can kind of go out there, give the Yankees a good chance and that, the Yankees can get to Lugo.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, this is a huge game here. I agree with you that I think I prefer Schmidt in this situation, especially coming off this loss. I think he's just, like you said, a little bit more seasoned, a little bit more experienced. Might be able to handle the gravity of the situation a lot better. So, yeah, we got to hope that he can at least just keep us within the, keep us in the game, and hopefully our offense can just put up some runs. It would be nice if we can, put up like a nice little cushion of some sorts and not have it be like a back and forth affair like in game 1. But this is playoff baseball, baby. So, I mean, it's going to be a wild ride. I'm just like you said, hoping for the best. This is a big one coming up here on Wednesday.
Yeah, it really is. I don't want to have to, I don't want the Yankees to already be facing an elimination game. I'd like to avoid that, things. Now it's a best of 3 series. And if you can just win game 3, it changes the complexion a bit. So this is a really big swing game.
Yeah.
Hoping the Yankees can respond after what was not a great night at Yankee Stadium. I know that they probably feel good about themselves going on the road. Like I said, like they've had success there this season.
Yeah.
But look, like you said, there's a lot hanging in the balance. I think, top down. Well, unfortunately, not totally top down, from Aaron Boone down.
Right.
I think
some people might think it's top down, but real Yankee fans know it's not the case. Yeah.
No. Brian Cashman, he's part of the Steinbrenner family,
right.
So he's got a job for life. But I think that with Boone, you can tell that there is. I mean, in terms of the urgency, like I think he feels it. I think he knows, like, if they get bounced here. Like
probably,
I think the writing's on the wall for him, unfortunately. So, they need it.
This is it, man. Yeah, this is it, man. And you'll obviously be recapping the game Wednesday night as well. Hopefully with some special guests. We'll see. Where we're trying to lock him in. We'll see if it works logistically or not. But looking forward to that. And yeah, man, just keep doing what you're doing. This is a great show. Everyone, please subscribe. Derek's got the Ranger seasons coming up here, which is great. So exciting season for the hockey team. And
thanks, AC. And just closing out. Right. We have the Rangers opening. So this is where it really gets jam packed. Like now, and I guess when's the other time? I guess really, it's mostly now, but then you also have like a lot going on, I guess, like around March, April too. But like Ranger opening night is going to be Wednesday at Pittsburgh, and that's also game 3 of Yankees Royals. A lot going on. Wow. I'm planning to put out a episode, a Ranger sort of opening night roster episode. There's still some things that aren't official yet, but hoping to put that out in the next day or 2. Awesome. So excited for the Ranger season to get underway. But obviously right now the Yankees are, front and center.
Priority.
And, and again, they lose game 2. They leave Yankee Stadium tied at 1. and this series will shift over to Kansas City as the Yankees will take on the Royals in what will be a pretty pivotal Game 3. They will look to retake the lead in this series, Clark Schmidt versus Seth Lugo, and we shall see what Game 3 has in store.
Let's go, baby.